Welcome back to Time Freedom Daily. This is your spot to get nuggets on business building, motivation, investing, side hustles, crypto, financial literacy, all the stuff in between. Today, we got a really good stream for you. Chris is going to dive into the pros and cons of starting a side hustle and what to expect, what's going to happen. So we're super excited about that. Chris, how you doing today, brother?
I am great. I'm wearing my superhero shirt. So it's feeling like a superhero this morning. Actually, you know what? You guys watching, do you like DC or do you like Marvel? I love
Marvel.
Yeah, I'm probably a Marvel guy. But I love Batman. I'm a huge Dark Knight fan, so
Sure.
But yeah, I would say I definitely like more guys on Marvel. I think my kids are all about Marvel and Disney Plus right now. So yeah, but yeah, like the title says, what are the advantages and disadvantages of owning your own business? Everybody kind of, puts on the rose-colored glasses when they're thinking about a business, and they all want to be that guy, but or that woman. But what are the pitfalls? And remember, I'm going to start this stream right. Remember to hit the like button. Give us some likes. Give us some love. That is the best thing you can do for John and I trying to build this channel and trying to reach more people. So I always forget that. I actually made myself a note. I'm going to show you guys if I can not upset my camera. Made myself a note to remind everybody. There you go.
That's awesome. Love it. So let's dive into the markets real quick and just see what's going on. Unfortunately, today is a red day, but it's not too red. As you can see, Bitcoin's down only slightly on the 24-hour. Same with Ethereum, but for it to be down a little bit today, it pumped dramatically yesterday, almost to all-time highs. And, a lot of altcoins hit all-time highs, and they're still cranking today. Solana flipped Cardano, which Cardano had a hold on that number 5 spot for a long time. And just over the last 24 to 48 hours, Solana flipped it. The market cap, the value, a lot of amazing things happening on Solana. And again, with Cardano,
it had flipped Tether for a little bit as well. It was at the number 4 for a little bit.
Absolutely. So, as with Cardano, look, we're still hugely bullish on the project. We just haven't seen the news that we've seen on Solana. And Chris is saying patience. Absolutely. There is going to be launching a DEX, which is, going with the decentralized finance. They're going to be launching that on Cardano soon. And when that launches, oh my goodness, we should see some explosive movement. Again, not financial advice, but, there's no way that I'm selling any of my Cardano at this moment. It's been consolidating. It's been right around that 195 to 215 for months. And I think it's going to rip. Funny thing is, my son reached out to me. He's got a couple $100 saved. And he was like, Dad, which coin what coin should I get into? And I said, well, a lot of things are pumped already. They're going to continue to move. But, I said, get yourself some Cardano. So we ended up getting some Cardano. And, fees are very low. So we only paid a couple bucks to make the order. Where if you're buying an Ethereum-based coin, you could have been paying $40 to buy that $200 worth of coin. And, I didn't want him to lose that type of investment on a small order. So Cardano was a good choice because it has not pumped, and I still believe it's got huge potential in this bull run. We saw a big drop in Shiba. It has recovered pretty quickly, but it's because the person that made that $8,000 investment and turned it into $5 billion has decided to take some profit. Who wouldn't? You just made $5 billion. Why wouldn't you take a couple, $100 million worth of profit and do something else with it? I would.
Absolutely.
So, that's just to be. But what's really cool, and George from Cryptos R Us was talking about this earlier today, that he was very encouraged by the fact that it did not drop 90%.
Sure.
From that sale. So it definitely stabilized, and it's moving back. So, people that are Sheep fans, don't panic. I'm not a huge fan. I do own some, not financial advice. I don't own a lot. I just wanted to have a little exposure to it in case it did pump again. So, do your due diligence on that. Again, the decisions that you make. are important. So what I want to touch on is, yeah, absolutely, that was a great one. So we heard today that in the next 4 to 5 days, VeChain, which is a supply chain company, it's based in China, but all of the major companies in China use VeChain to track their products, right, on the blockchain, which it cannot be fouled or changed. Yeah. So if they put in information on there about when it was developed or how it was developed or when it was harvested or whatever it may be, it's not something that anybody can go into and change the information. So it's very, very secure, and what you're getting is what you're getting. Right. But having a DEX, which is a decentralized fund where you can earn returns in your money, which is what we're waiting for on Cardano, is supposed to launch in 4 or 5 days on VeChain, which I believe is going to have a huge influx of money into that coin. And again, we're still waiting for VeChain to be listed on some of the US-based exchanges. You can't find it everywhere. So I think once it becomes more mainstream like that, we're going to see a lot more platforms listed, and we're going to see a pump in price. Right now it's at 14 cents, and some people are talking about a 50 to 70 cent end of cycle price point. So again, not financial advice, but it's something that I'm invested in. I know that Chris is invested in as well, and something that we're very high on. Why? Because, and again, this is my opinion, I feel it's one of the most undervalued projects out there because of all the partnerships, and what utility and what it's doing out there is so important. And it's like it's being overlooked so heavily that, it's due for a major pump. So, that's it on the crypto markets. Let's take a look at the traditional markets, Chris.
Absolutely. One moment, please. Here we go. Can you see that, John?
I can. So again, S&P is up slightly. The NASDAQ is up about a percentage. Dow Jones is about even, just down a tinge. We've got some movement on some of the stocks that we watch. What's happening with Tesla? I know it was up early.
Tesla's up again. Over 1,200. When it was like 950, I remember people saying, "This is it." At 950, it's overextended, and here we are at 12.
Well, I took profits at $1,100, and I'm not sad about that. At some point it's going to pull back. I still have exposure there, about 40% of my initial purchase, which is basically, I pulled not all my profits out, but my initial investment was anywhere close to where my value is right now. So we call it a moon bag, where it's all cake and icing from here. So I'm going to ride it up, and if it pulls back, I've got my cash reserve that I can buy back in and follow it back up on the next run. So
that's exactly how you do it.
That you can never get hurt taking profits, folks. I'm trading it in my retirement account, so I'm not getting hit with any capital gains taxes. I've already paid taxes. So again, we're going to talk more about that in the future, but you got to start, you got to invest, you got to get your time in the market, not time in the market, time in the market. Don't time it. Don't try to get in, get out, get in, get out, get in, get out. You'll miss everything. People talk about how I got out towards the top and then I hold it out and I got back in towards the bottom. But it's funny, even those people that have almost gotten it almost perfectly correct, they still miss out on upside just by leaving it in there. Dollar cost averaging in, as Chris and I talked about yesterday, and just leaving your money in there and just putting a little in at a time, right? With your IRA, you've got $6,000 that you can put in through the course of 1 year. You don't have to put all $6,000 in at one time. A lot of people can't afford to put all $6,000 in at one time.
Yeah.
Make it set it up in your bank account, in your paycheck, that a certain percentage goes in, $50 a week, $100 a week, whatever it is to get to your point. And remember, when the money comes out of your checking account, right, it goes into your IRA. Remember, it's not invested yet. It's just sitting there in cash. So you have to log into your investment account and then go ahead and pick the funds or the stocks that you want to buy after you deposited that money. So it's funny. I've seen stories where people are like, I put $6,000 in my IRA and it's still $6,000. And they're like, I don't understand. It's because they never picked anything to invest in. So again, it seems simple, but a lot of people don't understand that it's not an investment topic or stock or a fund. It's just where you hold your money. And then you decide what you want. Yeah, you just decide where you want to invest it. So remember that. So, but I'm really excited about what you got going over here today, Chris, because again, a lot of people, they don't think about it. So why don't you take it away, my friend?
People don't think about it, and I was included in that group. So 15 years ago. Yeah, I guess about 15 years ago, I opened a restaurant, and then had two, then had three. And it was a learning curve, and that's kind of what we wanted to talk about today. And John's had a lot of different businesses as well. And there are fun days, and there are not so fun days. And that's kind of what we wanted to talk about, because a lot of people open up a business and they have those rose-colored glasses on, and they dream of, especially in the restaurant business, everybody dreams of having a restaurant or a coffee shop or a cafe and being the owner and shaking customers' hands, and that was great, but you don't think about all the tough parts, right, John? What do you think?
Look, I had numerous businesses, and my very first business that I opened was a landscape business, and I opened it after I had moved down here from New Jersey as a casino dealer. And when I moved down here, I dealt craps and blackjack. I worked on the boats, and the boats kept closing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I got to wait another 2 weeks to find another boat that opens up or get another job. I've got to go audition, interview, show them that I can deal, and then be on the waiting list, because now we've got 30 other dealers that are looking for a job. Am I going to get one? So I was like, what do I know that I can make money at? Well, grass always grows down here. So I went out, I could start a business. So I bought a lawnmower and a weed whacker and a blower, and I started knocking on doors. Well, what I didn't know is how to estimate. And I'm throwing out these numbers because I wanted to earn their business. So I'm like, well, what are you charging? What are you being charged now? Oh, I'm being charged $25. Well, is that the right price, or are they telling me what's something that's lower so they can get a better price? And then I'm like, well, I can do it for $20. And then next thing you know, after 5 or 6 months, I'm like, I'm not making the money that I wanted to make.
You're working for $10 an hour.
Right. Like, what am I doing wrong? And honestly, I had that business open for a few years, and there were some months where I did well and some months where I didn't do so well. And, really, I had a job.
Yep.
Right. I worked for a landscape company, and what stinks is that I didn't always get paid on Friday. Sometimes I had money to pay myself, and sometimes I didn't. So what did I do? I went back to the casino when I can. I work both jobs, and that's part of the hustle that's in me. But, it ended up after 3 or 4 years, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sell my equipment and go back to work to my 9 to 5, which I did.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people find that out the hard way. And so let me go over some of the advantages here, because of course there are advantages. And I just looked this up, you guys. I Googled it, and but I can totally relate. Independence, of course, you're the owner. There's definitely a certain feeling of being proud and mindset that comes with owning your own business, and that was great. Lifestyle for me was a huge benefit. I had 3 small boys, when I had the restaurants, and it was really nice me being able to dictate my schedule, not having to ask a boss necessarily when I could come in, but there's more to that story. Financial rewards were okay. It was, it was supporting my lifestyle. And let me jump down to creative freedom and personal satisfaction, because that was probably one of the biggest things for me. I had opened restaurants serving people really healthy food. I've been eating organic for about 20 years now. Nutrition and health, personal health are very important to me. It's how I bring my kids up. So the fact that I was able to feed people very healthy, I had communities, the whole neighborhoods thanking me for being open almost on a daily basis. So that was huge for me. That personal satisfaction was a big one. And then learning opportunities, of course. I had never been a great chef, and when I decided to open up restaurants to teach people they could eat healthy and still eat really good food, that was amazing. I spent 15 years learning and learning and learning, and I learned from my servers. I learned from waitresses and waiters, to cooks I had, to delivery drivers I had. I learned from everybody. It was amazing. I met some really, really amazing friends. What about you, John? Can you relate to these
For
advantages?
sure. And I learned a lot of stuff early on. And, most of the stuff I learned in the very beginning from the first business was what not to do.
Yeah.
And then as I got back into the landscape industry, I worked for a commercial landscape company for 15 years. And I learned a lot of things. And it's funny, I learned a lot of things not to do as well in working for that particular company. Not that they did everything wrong. They didn't. There was a lot of things they did right. But when I started the second landscape company, I was able to grow much quicker, and I understood what it meant, the value of doing what you sold in a professional and timely manner, and also being responsive. The one stigma, especially in South Florida, I'm sure it's everywhere, is that contractors, one, they don't show up on time. They don't do what they say. There's always an upcharge or an add-on or something that they forgot in the estimate that they're trying to blame on something they found within the job that they can charge more for. And they don't respond in a timely manner. So I did all those things, and my customers love me.
Yep.
Absolutely love me. But unfortunately, if I didn't respond the way I had in the past, and it was a day later, or sometimes even I would respond immediately, my customers would get so angry. So it's like you want to set the bar high, but if you can't achieve that all the time, sometimes it backfires. And that was the one thing that was super important to me in the lessons learned. But what I also learned is, no matter what, stick to those principles. Yep. Because people like to do business with people they respect, like, and trust. So if you have that respect, you have that likability, and you got the trust, you're going to get a lot of second chances.
Absolutely.
So that's what I knew, that in whatever business that I was starting, that I had to follow those 3 guidelines. Be likable, right? Earn their respect and do what you say you're going to do, right? And that also will lead to the trust factor, which is super important.
Yeah, it is. And 100% same experience. I kind of I created a model for myself to under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, some people take it too far, and you give them an inch and they want to take a mile, and there's always going to be people like that, especially in the restaurant world. Y'all have seen it going out to restaurants. There is that customer, the Karen, the I don't know, what's the male Karen name?
Let's call him.
I can't
call him Greg. We'll call him Greg today.
But yeah, there's always those people, and like you said, I mean, it's my principles are my principles. I couldn't change that. I was always going to be that way. So, anyways, those are some of the advantages. The advantages are what most people see anyway, so I'm not going to go over that anymore. The disadvantages are what's really key, and kind of what I wanted to bring up to this, our show today.
Right.
I'm not a negative person, but there is a level of reality that y'all have to think about if you're in this space of wanting to develop your own business, whether it's a landscaping company or a boutique or a pool store or a restaurant or whatever it is. There are going to be those days. There are things you really need to think about. I always tell people, think about worst case scenarios all the time, because you have to be prepared for that. And people don't like to. I don't like to. Nobody likes to. Everybody thinks you're going to open up whatever you're going to open up and everything's going to go great and you're going to have customers liking you. And, so anyways, without further ado, number 1 is financial risk. And that was amazing. I remember years ago, I already had my restaurants, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Amazing book. If y'all haven't read it, go read it. And that's one of the things that he talks about is there's a risk/reward ratio. And some businesses cost a lot to open up, and they will provide you a fair reward. There's other businesses that don't cost much at all to open up, and the rewards are unlimited. One of the reasons why John and I are in network marketing. It's that type of business. Not to push network marketing, but it is what it is. The restaurant on the other side was the first one. It cost a lot. It was a lot of capital to actually open a restaurant, buy $150,000 in equipment per restaurant, train employees, buy uniforms, buy decorations, buy tables, chairs, ovens, all of that stuff. And then think about it down the road. Even with landscaping equipment is equipment. It depreciates.
Sure.
So it's kind of like buying a used car on Craigslist.
For sure. Let me just add to that. It's funny, I actually created a meme, and I probably wasn't the first one to do it, but it just stuck in my head. So I took a picture of my truck, my trailer, and the landscape equipment laid out on the outside. Mm-hmm. And I took the picture, and I said, the question at the top was, can you please cut my lawn for $25? And then I put the value of each of the pieces of equipment. The truck was $80,000. The trailer was $10,000. The lawnmower was $10,000. The other lawnmower was $9,000. So I had a equipment list of say $130,000 worth of equipment, and then I'm like, I go right back to the question. It says, can I cut your lawn for $25? People don't understand what you've invested. Yeah. Not only in your equipment, but the time, your education, all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and they just want everything for nothing, right? It's like you got that person in the restaurant that will eat 3/4 of a pizza, like, Chris, this really wasn't up to par. Right. Can you take that off the bill? Like, oh yeah, like Karen, you ate it all. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the financial risk is there for sure. And again, Chris, you nailed it on the head right there with why network marketing is a very enticing business opportunity, because the barrier to entry is very, very minimal. Mm-hmm. And your results are based upon the work that you put in, right? And you put the work in, you don't quit. A lot of times it's going to succeed. It's the ones that quit too soon or after the first 7 no's that they got and said, oh, it's not for me. That's a whole nother conversation. But barrier to entry, network marketing is one of the top ones. It's funny. I remember Robert Kiyosaki actually saying in one of his books that if he had to go back and do it again, network marketing, he would take a hard look at it and maybe something he would do.
Absolutely. So number 2, stress. That is probably the largest. John's shaking his head. Absolutely. That's it. Your stress is everything when you own your own business. And there's, it's yours. It's your baby, which a lot of people go down that road, and it's not. Your baby's your baby. That is just a business. Keep that in mind, because a lot of people get lost in that. A lot of people pour blood, sweat, and tears into this business. You've started thinking that this is your baby. It's not. It's a business. It can be bought and sold. Your family cannot. Keep that in mind, please, every day. But the stress was huge. And over the years, when you are the go-to person for everything, when you are the business owner, it's all on you. There is nobody you can go cry to. When I had my businesses, I had a partner for a little bit. He kind of came in later and then left shortly after. But which was my choice. I didn't really want a partner. I kind of wanted, I had my thing going, and but it was all on my shoulders. And so when there was a bad day, I had great managers and great people that we could kind of vent to, but it's all on you. The financial stress, making sure you find employees, like all of it, it all ends up on your shoulders. Right.
And Chris, I want to add to that. It's so I definitely had stress, and I was able to realize that. And some of our viewers may or may not know, but I sold my landscape business last year in October, and it was because the stress level was, for me, becoming a little too much, and I didn't want to have that affect my customer base by me being short with them. Right. This was when everybody was home from COVID. I'm dealing with HOAs, and there's a joke out there. What do you call a group of Karens? Right? It's an HOA. All they want to do is complain. They're all home from work, working from home, and they're walking around their properties, and I'm getting hammered by little minutia complaints. And I'm like, I'm really like, really? Like yes. I'm normally not that guy. I'm not normally the one but I was getting snappy. And I'm like, you know what? Before I have that impact my business, maybe I need to take a deep look at what I want to do in my future. And is this it? I love landscaping. And it's funny, I'm actually working on a consultant level now for a couple of different companies. And it's funny, just 2 days ago, I got a phone call out of the blue from a landscape company I know of. I've met the owner probably 2 or 3 times. Really nice guy, sweetheart, does great work. I'm very familiar with their company. And he's like, John, hey, I just want to pick your brain. Can you give me a call? So I text him, say, hey, Mario, just give me a call when you're available. So long story short, he's like, John, I'm working 78 hours a week. I've got one of my top guys, my top managers, and he wants to step back because he feels burnout. Can you give me some tips? So we talked for a little bit, and it's funny. I said, Mario, I'm gonna throw this out there. Let me guess about where your annual revenues are. And I threw out the number. And in the industry, I've been in the industry a long time. I knew it was somewhere right around $3 million. And he says, John, how in the world did you know that? I said, going past $3 million in commercial landscaping, going to the 4 to 5 million is the hardest number to pass, because you are able to grow to that number pretty easily. And then you have to have a step back in your profits, because you've got to gear up for the infrastructure to move forward. So we're going to have a meeting on Saturday, but his big thing was, he was like, I had to tell my wife not to be my administrator anymore because it was causing problems in our home. And she's no longer there. I've got some people that are trying to do the job, and he's struggling with that. And he's got himself and one other guy managing a $3 million company, which, in the company that I worked for 15 years, when we were at $3 million, we had 7 managers within the company. And that's what it took to manage all the properties. And I said, we need to set up a plan where you can bring in the right infrastructure, and you have to set the infrastructure up first. You can't grow and then catch up the infrastructure afterwards. You got to have the infrastructure in place so that you can grow into the infrastructure that you've set up. So he didn't understand that concept. And we always say you don't know what you don't know, but he's been doing this very successfully. Let's say, hasn't missed a meal since he was 18, and he's in his late 30s now. So, he never went to business school. He never worked for a large commercial landscaper and understand what is, required to grow to those numbers. So he's like baffled and blown away by that type of information. But to hammer home the stress, this guy is stressed, and he's got a successful business. So, that's one of the things that you guys have to understand is, depending on the business, well, pretty much any business, as you grow and you get bigger, stress is going to be there, and it's how you have to deal with it and overcome those adversities is going to set you apart from being successful or not being successful.
Yeah, and absolutely, and get your families prepared, or get your partner prepared, get your people prepared, because you are going to be dealing with a lot if you're going down that road. So the third one is time commitment. And that, I was aware of that. I was opening restaurants. I mean, everybody knows the whole restaurant thing. You're going to work and work and work. And it was okay. I will say the time commitment for me, looking back over the decade and a half that I had the restaurants, it was actually pretty good. Because I had set up systems where I didn't have to be there. I had kind of made myself duplicatable in my managers, which is, really what I wanted to do, because I wanted to open more and more of these. The time commitment wasn't bad, other than towards the end, and probably my last 3 or 4 years was where I started to realize really everything that was, like I said before, coming onto my shoulders, falling on my shoulders. So I would be at home with my boys on a Friday night, and I'd be getting my phone would be ringing, and there's issues at this store, issues at the other restaurant, and all of a sudden my Friday night is interrupted. Either I had to pile my kids in the car and rush some places, or there were times when it just put me in such a bad mood. All of a sudden the night is kind of ruined, and I couldn't shake it, and it was it wasn't fair to my kids, even if I was home on that Friday night, to kind of be adding on to that. And so the time commitment, I will say, it didn't end at 5. The difference between having a 9-to-5 job, where you can compartmentalize and leave your work at work, and come home and enjoy your family, when everything's on your shoulders. Even though I wasn't at the restaurants some days, my phone would be ringing, or there's that stress. That stress you can't leave that there either. The stress came home as well. So What's your take on your time commitment, John?
For sure, the time commitment was huge, and especially in the very beginning when you're launching the business. For me, time commitment was more, especially in the second time I did the landscape business. But the second time I did the landscape business, I purposely reduced my pay so that I can implement the right structure for the company, so that I could walk away for a day or a weekend or a week and the company would run, because otherwise I was just recreating a job for myself. And that was not what I was interested in. I wanted a business to run properly, and I was willing to pay more to my employees to make sure that it was structured the right way. So I was not married to it. I could work on the business versus in the business, and there's a big difference. So that was what I did. And with me, I started the second business, the landscape company, as a side hustle. Now, it was a big side hustle, but I had another stream of income that was able to support me if something happened in the business. So it was easier for me to not take a salary and pay somebody else. And it grew. It took a few years, but it grew into where I was making a very nice salary and still had the same requirements within me.
Right.
So, because it allowed me not to be on the crew cutting grass. It allowed me to be PR and meet property managers and meet with my customers and ask for referrals and do the stuff that I needed to work and grow the business. And that's what I was not able to do in the first time that I grew the business, because I didn't know. I had no idea how to be a business owner. So again, the lessons learned through my failures is what really brought me into being a successful entrepreneur that I am today. So yeah, time commitment is huge, and you got to know it, and people around you have to be aware of it. Super important that you said that.
And it's it's going to change depending on what you start. So really, again, think of worst case scenario, especially going through what we just went through as people this last year and a half, 2 years. Think about all the businesses trying to hire right now. If you were that business owner, guess who's working? Guess who's opening the store? So yeah, there are times like that. And then the last one is undesirable duties. For me, that wasn't really a big deal. I was fully aware that I was probably going to have to do everything. And I did, like literally cleaning the bathrooms, cooking, driving, the accounting, bookkeeping. I'd have to come home at night and do all those things. And so just my advice to everybody would be, don't put on the rose colored glasses and think that you are going to be the shop owner, the restaurant owner, and you're just going to to glance over everything. You are going to do everything, and make sure you're okay with that. I had I had some great people working for me, but there were a couple of my friends came to mind. They would not clean the bathroom. It just wasn't in them. They would literally offer up their tip money to have somebody else clean the bathroom. And it's not that big a deal. You put some gloves on, spray some Windex around, and away you go. But there is some people just have that mentality. So make sure you're not starting a business that you're not aware of all the stuff you're actually going to have to do. So like I said, that wasn't a big deal for me. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Like in the very beginning, I made sure my crews knew that I could jump on a lawnmower, that I could go cut the grass. I could grab a weed whacker. I could weed whack circles around them. Well, for 30 minutes. I wasn't wired to work that 9-hour day that they're working, but I could have. But I just had to show them that I could literally pick up any piece of equipment and do it all. I could drive the truck with the trailer. I could park the trailer. I could do all these things, so that I had that respect for them, and I wasn't afraid if we had a guy that was out for a day, that I could meet them at the job and I could jump on the mower for half a day and make sure that the work got done. That was important. Right. That was important. So, as you're talking about the time commitment, if you're trying to grow your business into a business where you're not just making a job for yourself, got to make sure that all your people know that you can do whatever they're doing and you're not afraid to do it. You may not do it all the time. You may not be there every single day to do it, but they know that if they need help, you'll be there to do whatever needs to be done. You're not going to be saying, well, I can't do that, Sarah. You got to do that. Figure it out. I can't teach you. No, you got to know what you're doing within the business so that you had that respect. Because if people think that you don't know something that they do, It's either going to be, well, I need a raise, or I can do this myself. Yep. And next thing you know, they're going to out there and start their own landscape business, or if they have the financial backing of pizza place, because they feel that they know more than the owner. So that's just one of the things about time commitment. And again, everything's going to fall on your shoulders at some point. And that could be cleaning bathrooms. I've gone over, I take the covers off the seats, and I've taken them to the laundromat and clean the truck out and pull their trash out that's nasty. It's been there all week because they decided they're not going to do it, but I want a clean truck.
Right.
Pull the equipment out, blow out all the grass in the trailer, make sure it's clean for them. John, what happened to the trailer? It's all clean. I'm like, well, I cleaned it,
Yep.
Oh, thank you. Looks great. Yeah, I know it does.
Yeah, no, you're right. You guys, I hope you guys got something from this, and I don't want to put a dark cloud over your dreams. Try it. Why not?
I wouldn't have it any other way, Chris.
Absolutely. Give it a try, because it's one of those things you just never know. But go into things with open eyes, and I wish somebody had this talk with me before I dove right in, because I probably would have done things differently. I may not have even opened the restaurant. I may have just skipped all that and gotten right into what we're doing now, which I get to be home and enjoy my time. But like John said, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Where is it? Right there. Like and subscribe, and give us some feedback. Do you guys like this? Did you get something from this? And kind of give us some feedback on what you think.
Love it. Time Freedom Daily, guys. That's what we're striving to help you guys attain. And, we're going to tell you all the stuff, pros and cons, how to do it, what not to do, mistakes, what to be, to know what's happening in this journey. And, I love doing it with Chris every day, man. This is fun for us.
And tomorrow we got a really cool interview for you guys. So check back in tomorrow. We are interviewing another cool entrepreneur. So make sure you stick around for that. And we will see you. We'll see you then. Make today amazing, you guys. We'll see you soon,
guys.